The Packers are certainly in need of some good news after finding out Jair Alexander, Evan Williams, and Josh Myers did not report again to practice, making it more than clear later this afternoon we're probably going to get a game time status for Sunday's matchup against the Lions as an out or doubtful. So where do we find the good news in it? I'm going to give you a double dose of good news in this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please take a second to do so. So the first of the double dose of good news, we all know Jordan Love reported to practice yesterday. Schneidman reported that Jordan Love is practicing for the second straight day. That is great news for us Packer fans and the Packer organization, and bad news for the Detroit Lions. One, because Jordan Love gives the Green Bay Packers the best opportunity and chance to win. And then two, the Lions are having to plan for two quarterbacks right now. You got two very different quarterbacks. You got Malik Willis, who's very athletic and a dual threat quarterback. And you got Jordan Love, who's going to be a little bit more hanging out in the pocket with his injuries, but he's going to pick you apart through the air. So great news for Packer fans. So what's the second part of double dose of great news for the Packers? Okay, so one of the hottest quarterbacks, the hottest quarterback in the NFL right now is Jared Goff. I hate admitting it, but it's absolutely true. He's putting up historic numbers out there. I think he's got over the last 3 games, the Lions have more touchdowns than incomplete passes. So how do the Packers defense slow that down, especially when you've got injuries to our secondary in Jair and Evan Williams? Well, I'm going to share something kind of weird right here, and that's the 10-day forecast. Okay, so you got the 10-day forecast showing Sunday is probably the sloppiest day in the 10-day forecast. You got a 97% chance of rain. It's going to be the windiest day in the 10-day forecast, and it's going to be cold. So it's going to be cold and rainy, which means that does not bode well for Jared Goff historically. Let's take a look at the numbers for him. Let's go back to 2021. And let's go back to any cold outdoor games. Okay, so cold outdoor, it gets cold in October. So some cold outdoor games. That was a bad year for the Detroit Lions in 2021. But when you look at October, when the games that they played outdoors, when it was cold, it's not many, to be honest with you. You got Pittsburgh right here, Sunday, November 14th. It ended up in a tie. Jared Goff only threw for 114 yards. And then they were at Cleveland. Goff wasn't the quarterback in that game. He was hurt. So let's go down to the at Denver. They lose that one. They get killed in Denver. Denver get cold in December. It was 38-10. Goff only had 215 yards passing. And then you've got at Seattle, which would have been a rainy and colder type conditions. They lose that one 51-29. So let's go to 2022. Okay, so 2022, the Lions started to improve. They started to kind of get their momentum going as a team, as a unit under Dan Campbell. So how did they look in the month of October and November and December? So at New England, which can get cold in October, they lose that one 29-0. Goff had 229 yards. And then they go at Chicago. Goff had 236 yards. They win a close contest there, 31-30. At New York, they had some success there. Goff only threw for 165 yards, though, in those conditions. And then at New York Jets, 252 yards passing. They do win that game. It was a close game, 20-17. And then, of course, when they went at Green Bay, Goff only threw for 224 yards, made some mistakes in that game, but they came away with the win. They knocked the Packers out of the playoffs with that win, and that was January 8th. Let's look to 2023 last year. Last year, you can see at Baltimore, it got cold that day. It was October 22nd. He didn't play well. Goff threw for 284 yards, which sounds good, but they did not play well. 38-6, they lose that contest. And then you've got, they don't play again. They're at Los Angeles. That's not going to be cold. And at New Orleans, not going to be cold. At Chicago, they lose that contest 28-13. Goff had 161 yards passing, and then the rest were in domes. But historically, when you take a look at Jared Goff's numbers throughout his career in rainy conditions, believe it or not, he's only played in 2 games in rainy conditions as a Detroit Lion, and he's 0-1-1. So again, when you start bringing in the rainy conditions and the colder weather, and I'm not trying to do a stretch here, but historically, Jared Goff, if you put some pressure on that dude and he plays in bad elements, he's not going to do that well. So Green Bay Packer defense is going to have to step up big up front, stopping the run, because this is a very dangerous run team, and they're going to be run heavy in bad conditions because Jared Goff, despite the injuries to the Packers secondary, I don't think he's going to continue to have the success that he has been putting up historic numbers. I don't think he's going to continue that. I think he slows down in this game against the Packers. So look for the Packers to be planning accordingly and stacking the box for the Detroit Line offense. Leave your comments, and as always, go Pack, go.